Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about green card lottery interview. I know I've talked about what kind of documents you need to have, but on this particular video there are a few things I want to clarify about the V lottery once you win and the interview. So there are two things. Number one is if you are you have won the DV lottery, you are in America and you have won green card lottery while you are outside of America. If you have won green card lottery while you are in America, your situation will be different from those who are outside of America. If you're in America, you will fill a different kind of form. You don't need to fill the DS-260 form because DS-260 is a visa form, and while you are in US, you don't fill the visa form because you are already in US. You will fill adjustment of status form for form I-485, I think, which is adjustment of status form, and the process will be different. You will be interviewed at the immigration office here in America. So it's a different process. But I'm talking about for people who are outside of America. If you are outside of America, you can be into two main areas. You might be in your home country, or you might be in another country. So those will be having two different discussions. So let me start first of all, if you are in different country. So if you are in different country, what do you need to do if you have won green card lottery, and where are you going to do your interview? The choice is yours. You can do the DV lottery interview in the country where you are, or you can do the V lottery visa interview at the US Embassy in your home country. I usually advise people to think about it. If you are unmarried and you don't have any dependent, it doesn't matter where you are going to process your DV lottery visa. You can do your visa interview at the US Embassy in the country where you are. If you're in Dubai, you can do in Dubai. If you're in Qatar, you can do in Qatar. If you are in France, you can do in France. If you're in England, you can do your visa interview in England. So you can do wherever you are, as long as you are single, as long as you don't have any dependent, or as long as you are married or you have kids, you are dependents, but all of you are in the same country. So if you are in England and your husband and wife and your kids are in England and you win the DV lottery, you can process everything from England. You don't need to go to your country Ghana. You don't need to go to your country Kenya. But if you win the DV lottery, you are in Dubai, but your spouse is in Kenya, your children are in Kenya, my advice will be, make sure that you are going to process your DV lottery, go attend your visa interview in your country. Why am I saying that? Because if you say you are going to process your visa interview in the country like Dubai or in England while your dependent is in another country, that is a problem. Why is it a problem? Because the visa interview, all people have to appear on the same interview. All people have to appear on the interview on the same day, same time, same schedule, because all are under one big umbrella of one case number. So the main applicant, when the main applicant is going to win the DV lottery, is going to include what we call derivatives. Derivatives in this case are dependents. That means we are going to include the husband and the wife. We are going to include the children. And by the children, we are talking about the children who were added during the application. You cannot just add your immediate family, your spouse or your children who you didn't put during the application, unless otherwise you got married or you have children after the lottery. So if the children in another country, they need to get a visa to come to your country. So assume you are in England and your wife is in Kenya. Do you think they will get a visa to come to from just to ask, oh, I want to get a visa, I can go to England so that I can have green card interview with my husband? That will be difficult to get the visa. So in that situation, it will be easier for you who is in England, who is in Dubai, to go to your home country and do the interview. Because if you say, I'm going to do the visa interview in Qatar or in Dubai, you cannot change in the middle of the game. Can you change me to do to another country? No, because they will process your visa interview date, schedule you basing on your case number, basing on the place what you have indicated into your DS-260. When you are filling the form DS-260 is when you are going to indicate where would you like to have the visa interview. Remember, this is a different from the time you applied for the DV lottery. When you applied for the DV lottery, you indicated where you are at the time of application. It doesn't mean that currently you must be in the same place where you are during the time of application. Maybe the time of application you were in the US, but now you are in another country. There is no problem with that, but you have to indicate where would you like your visa interview to be taking place. So if your visa interview you want to be happening in Kenya, you can indicate in Kenya. But remember, they are going to give the interview all at the same time, all on the same interview. You cannot say, have an interview because I'm now in France. I'll do my interview in France and interview my wife and the children in another country. No, you are all into one big envelope or one big category. You are processing together as one case. So that's you need to know on that kind of, when we talk about the DV lottery or visa interview in general. The processes or processing of the visa interview is one case. You have to choose where do you want to process on that one. Another part about the visa interview which you need to know. On the visa interview, the visa fee you are supposed to pay, you are paying in cash, $330. The visa interview fee, the visa fee you are going to pay on the interview date is going to be paid for every person in the category. Every person who wants that visa to come to America must be paying that amount. Even if a child is 1 day old, will have the visa fee of $330. And if all are going to be given the visa, all must be paying the $220 USCIS, the immigration fee. After getting the visa, that $220, I've been talking in another video how much you need to have. It is for each person regardless of the age. So let me go just a simple way. On the interview date, you have to go with the visa fee for each person on that DS-260 you have indicated. If you are married, you put yourself and your spouse, that is $330 for 2 people. If you have 5 kids, add that amount on top of that. So you need to know that. That is another important thing about the visa fee. And again, when you go to the interview, if by any case you are denied the visa fee is non-refundable. You are not going to be paying, they are not going to pay you back. But usual, the green card lottery visa interviews are different from the other type of interviews. If you are going as a student, they say you have been denied the visa. That's all. But the V lottery, in most cases, before they say you have been denied, they will tell you what is the reason why you have been denied. And if you have any other documentation to prove that they have done wrong information, you are allowed to resubmit those kind of information. So for instance, if they say you don't have enough, let's say, education and or work experience, you say no, it's because maybe I wrote wrong on my DS-260. When I was filling, I said I have certificate, by the way, that is a diploma, and this is the certificate. So you can be able to prove those kind of things. And if you say, oh, by the way, the work experience, I didn't mention this kind of work experience I have, this is my work experience, you can be able to add those kind of information. It's not appealing, but just asking for this reconsideration that they have done a wrong decision basing on the document you have been able to submit, and they're going to review that kind of decision. So it's a different kind of situation from the DSC when you are applying as a student or when you are applying as a tourist visitor. For that case, when you are applying as a visitor, if they deny you the visa, you can go next day or next week or next month to apply again for another visa interview. But the DS-260, there is no another visa interview. Is going to be, can you submit more evidence? I remember I helped one family, they won the DV lottery, but they were engaged at that time. So I told them, before you fill the form DS-260, it's better to get married, because the complication will be higher if you are going to do after. So what they got married and they submitted everything. When they went to the visa interview, they had a marriage certificate, but the US embassy asked them, can you submit more evidences within 2 weeks to prove that you are married, just beyond the marriage certificate? That means, do you have the photos for the wedding? Do you have the photos for the reception? Do you have the bills that maybe health insurance together? Do you have, maybe you own house together, or you own the car insurance, or you own the car together? What kind of things do you own together to prove that beyond the marriage certificate you are together? So the person, within 1 week, they submitted those kind of information and they were given their green card visa and they came to America. So during the interviews, you have to understand those kind of things will be able to guide you. Another thing which you need to understand about the green card lottery interviews for the visas is, when are you going to have these kind of visa interviews? Because this is question, like people are asking, okay, you know, my country now is in the lockdown, but I cannot get maybe my passport now, or I cannot be able to get this kind of document, or I cannot be able to get my school certificate right now because it has been closed. Remember, we are talking about the DV lottery, DV 2021. We are not talking that the results are out this Saturday, June 6th. That means on July you are going to the visa interview. No, you're not going to the visa interview in July. Remember, we are talking about 2021, and your country, I know for sure, is not going to be in the lockdown until September 2021. So for that case, you'll have a plenty of time to have all those kind of information, to have all those kind of documentation. Why? Because the DV lottery is going to, is for DV 2021, unless otherwise your case number is 1 or 2 or 1,000 or 2,000, yes, you'll be in a rush to make sure that you submit all your documents as soon as possible. But if your case number is 30,000, yes, you need to submit soon, but your visa bulletin, your availability for you to go to the visa interview will be probably in May 2021. So you still have up to the end of the year to make sure that you have all this documentation. So don't get frustrated, don't get stressed out that my country is on the lockdown, my passport has expired, I have to renew the passport, or I have to get the passport for my wife, I have to get the passport for my children, I have to get this kind of documentation. So don't need to be stressed out. You can get all this information by September. You can get the information in August and fill the form DSC 260. What I can ask you, something is very, very simple. Like, when you find out you have won, the first thing, find a host in America. Find the address where you'll be staying in America, so that you can be able to go ahead. So when you are going to fill the form, because that is the information very critical than any other information for me. All other information is very quick and simple in your DS 260. Date of birth, education, you can fill all the information within a few seconds. But the address where you're going to stay in the US, you have to get someone in the US. So that will be the information for me. Like, what is the critical one is just make sure that once you find out you have won, go ahead and find the address where you'll be able to stay. And once you have that one, you can start filling the form, but then submit. So you can fill the DSC 260 form. Like, I'm going to put the link on my YouTube video on the description about the most questions about the DS 260. And one of the questions I answered there is about how you fill the visa form, the DS 260. When you are filling the form DS 260 for the visa, that form is a different from how you applied for the DV lottery. When you apply for the DV lottery, it's just once, you cannot save that form. But once you are going to sign for the DS 260, you can sign in, fill the information halfway, sign out, save, and go away, and come 1 week later, continue. So you can continue filling all the information and wait to have the passport number, wait to have those few information, addresses, whatever. You can be able to do that while you are preparing for the interview. And when I was talking about the public charge, on the visa interview, you are supposed to submit the form for public charge. And if some people, they say, oh, but I have the farm, but that farm, or I have the business, but this business is family business. Make sure your family is indicating you are part owner of that business. Not because your father has a business is yours. No, it's not yours. It has to indicate how many shares do you have in that business. And if someone says, oh, I have to use my bank statement of my uncle, if your uncle wants to help you to give you the money, let your uncle give you the money and you put in your bank account. That means to be your money. Because on the US interview, US visa, lottery visa interview, they want to show the documents. The documents is you. The document is not about your uncle. They are not interviewing your uncle. They are not interviewing your father. They are interviewing you as you. So it's you to prove that I'm going to America, I'm not going to be a criminal. I'm going to America, I'm not going to be a public charge. I'm going to America, I'm going to be this and this and this. It's not about, okay, I have a host in America, but my host will give me food. No. Prove to you, to the US embassy, that you will be responsible to get a job, to find you have your own money, you have your own income, you have your own business where you can be able to get the money for eating and where you'll be able to go to work. It's not about, oh, but my uncle, my host, my whatever. No, we are talking about you. You are adult, you are above 18 years old, you can be able to do that. Something else about the visa interview, for those people who applied to include their children, the children, we said, like, children must be under the age of 21 and married. So let's say your child was under the age of 21 and married. that means, let's say the child was 20 years old and 8 months at the time of the visa interview, basically was under the age of 21, but until now the child is 21, so is not under the age of 21. For that case, even if the child is already above the age limit, because at the time of application the child was under the age of 21, will be allowed to come with you. So that's something else you need to know, because we're talking about under the age of 21. Yeah, so you need to know, those are some of the requirements you need to know about the visa interview. Don't ask me what particular questions they are going to ask. The green card lottery visa interviews is very simple one. Is different from other visa interviews, because other visa interviews you have to convince the US embassy, the consular officer at the US embassy, that I'm going to America, but I like my country so much, I have all these kind of assets, I have all these resources, I have all these responsibilities, and I will be coming back to my country. But DV lottery, once you win, you don't need to prove that I will be coming back to my home country. I'm going to America forever. You can tell them that it's allowed, because you are going to be a permanent resident of the great nation of the United States of America. So don't worry about that. So the interview will be 2 minutes interview. If you have a family, that interview can be very long, maybe 5 minutes. It's a matter of the documentation. They see your police clearance record, they see your medical, they see your work experience, they see your education, they see the public charge information, they see the address where you're going to stay in America. They will ask you a few questions, and they'll tell you just congratulations and welcome to America. Whatever they're going to tell you is a very simple interview. It's not about, so which state are you going to stay? Are you going to stay there for how many days? Are you coming back? No, they're not going to ask you, you're coming back, because you are going to stay in America permanently. The only thing, if you are going to stay in your home country, is you have to inform America that I'm going to stay in my home country for more than 6 months, because you are permanent for America. So that is something you need to know. So don't ask me about what particular question, is rather what kind of documentation you need to have, which I'll put the video on the link below, which I've explained all the documents you need to have before you go to the visa interview, because those documents are the one which will make you to get the DV visa at the US embassy when they're going to do interview. So those are some of the most critical things you need to know, you need to follow, you need to pay attention about the visa interviews once you appear at the consular officer at the US embassy, any country around the world. So make sure that you have all the documentation which are required, and the documentation I'm going to put on my YouTube link below here, which documentation you need to have. But again, I've already put the video about the instructions about the DV lottery and what kind of reasons why you'll be denied the visa, despite of winning. The video is also on the link below, because I've been talking over and over about you need to be truthful. Western culture is different from African culture. Western culture is very upfront. Don't become a liar. If you are married, say you are married from day one. If you have children, you say you have children. Don't tell me, or don't tell the US embassy consular officer there that, you know, I forgot to put that I have children. The question is, do you have children? You cannot forget you have children. No one forgets about having children. When you say you have zero, you have purposely decided to lie to the US government. When they tell you, are you married, and you say you are unmarried, that means you didn't forget. You decided on purposely that you are. Because if you say you are married, you must put the information for your spouse, a picture, date of birth, the gender, and everything. If you say you have children, they will tell you the picture and all other things. So don't say you forgot you have children, because if you put you are married, while you are married and you have marriage certificate, you appear to the US embassy with your wife, they're not going to give you the visa. They're going to disqualify you. Unless others you got married after the lottery. If you have children, the children were born before you applied for the DV lottery, and you appear to the US embassy with the information about your children, you are going to be in trouble. And again, when we are talking about the family, because all the time, can I include my uncle? Can I include my brother? Can I include my grandmother? I'm the one who is helping, is my dependent. No, you cannot. The dependent is only you, your spouse. The family is you, your spouse, and your children. The children can be adopted children, and by adopted must be legally adopted. You need to have court documentation. Not because you paid for school fees of your child or of your brother's child, it doesn't mean anything. It's not your child, it's just you helped someone. You must have the court documentation to show that you have adopted the child, or if you have stepchildren, that means you are married to someone who has children before, that means you can be able to go and include that those number of children as your children in the application of the DV lottery. Because if you are going to include those during the application, you can bring them during the interview and you can be able to come. One last thing before I finish. After getting the visa is valid for 6 months. That means the day they give you the stamp, even if you are going to have the interview on the last day of the visa interview, which is September 30th of the year, of the green card visas, even if you get the visa interview on that last day, the visa, you have 6 months to come to America. So don't ask what if I go beyond those 6 months? If you wait until the visa expires and your green card is over, is bye-bye, you cannot come to America under that visa. It is finito. Goodbye. You cannot come under that visa. You can wait until you can apply maybe another lottery and hopefully you can win maybe. So that's one thing you need to know, that once you apply, you get the visa, you have 6 months to come to America. Another thing about the visa interview, once you are given the visa, don't say, can I come alone and then maybe my kids can come later down the road. My advice is come all of you at once in America. No matter how much expensive it is, sell the farm, sell your house, sell your cell phone, sell whatever you have, come to America first. Access that green card. After 1 month, 2 months, you have the actual card. If you want your spouse and your children to go back to Africa first while you are trying to make your life here in America, you can do that, but at that time you have the actual card. But don't play a gamble. Let them stay in their country. You never know what will happen. Make sure that you come first to America, get your actual card. Even if you want to go back to finish your school, or you want to go back to Africa to finish something, go and do that. If you want to finish your job there, come take unpaid leave or paid leave, come to America after 1 month or a month and a half, you'll have your actual card, you'll have your social security, you'll have state ID, then go back to your country, and then life can continue through that way. So those are some of the most critical questions or issues which I wanted to address about the DV lottery visas. Not about the question wise, but the most important issues which you need to understand about the DV lottery visas. And most of the links which are related to the visa interviews are on the description of this particular video. Before I go, please remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I wish all the best, everyone. Goodbye, and I'm waiting to hear who has won the DV lottery.